Hi there. Today I thought we would look at the Oracle decks that I use the most in 2024. And these did not, most of them didn't come into my collection in 2024. They're just the Oracle decks that I use the most. And the first one I'm going to show you is RoseBae's The Softest Shade Oracle. And I had so much fun with this. I brought this with me to Hawaii in January, February, March when I was over there, and I had so much fun with it. And it was also so great to read with this deck during the whole month of February, but I used it the whole time I was there, and then I just kept using it as I went along. I don't think this is for sale right now. I do think that maybe I heard something about maybe this might come back though, so we'll see as time goes on. I will let you know if it does come back into print, and I will also link everything down below so you can kind of follow along. But I just absolutely love this deck. I think it's beautiful and brilliant, and it's just a fun deck to use. It's got some writing on it. I am a batshit crazy genius scientist, prophet, goddess, and I will be free. And then it has some just keywords: sexuality, freedom of expression, strong sense of self, electric, individual, free and uninhibited. And so each card has a little bit on it. There's another deck of hers, another Oracle deck that I use quite a bit, which you'll see. But this one was just so fun, and I just enjoyed it so much. And I just think it is a really beautiful deck, and it's really well done. And it went so well with my tarot cards. And I also just used it a little bit on my own. I actually probably used more oracles this year than I did tarot decks, but I didn't use the oracles as long. Like, I would use the tarot deck maybe for a month at a time, and the oracles I would kind of mix and match a little bit. So I'm just showing you the ones that I use the most, not necessarily the ones that came out or were my very favorites. But anyway, this is a huge deck, and it's beautiful, and I just love it. I think actually maybe there were two of these that I combined. Anyway, so this is the big one altogether, and just a very fun deck. Those are the backs. Next was The Universal Mind by Michelle Black. This deck I've had for years, and it's divided into suits, but it just goes so well with all my decks, and I love it. It has a guidebook that's not huge, but is good and meaningful. And I just always, every year, kind of go back to this one. It's a deck that I really enjoy, and I just think it's a beautiful deck, and I think the meanings really correspond to the images, and I just have fun with it every year. And I mean, I'm probably bonded to it because I've had it for a long time, and I think sometimes I love these little kids in this reminds me a little bit of Hawaii. When you use something a lot, I think it's comforting, and so it's easy to go back to over and over again. And I've had years where I didn't use it as much, but the last couple of years I've really been using this one a lot. And I just really love this deck. And I had heard something that maybe this one was coming back, and then these are just the cards that tell about it a little bit. But that was a year ago maybe, and I haven't heard anything since. So I'm not sure what the status of this one is. It was out of print for a long time. I'm not sure if it'll come back, but it might. All right, next deck that just got a ton of play this year was my Oracle Door. And this deck is just so beautiful and so luxury. This is a luxury deck. Perspective, it's just really cool. And there's a spider. Some people don't like spiders. And it went with so many of the things I had. And I just think it's really beautiful. This was a deck I backed on Kickstarter. And I was hesitant to back it. I wasn't sure. I was like, do I need that? I'm not sure if I need that one. Will I enjoy it? But I ended up thinking, yeah, it's... And you could tell on the Kickstarter that it was really beautiful. And so I ended up backing it, and it's... Wow. It's just been one of my favorites and one of my most used this year. And I've really enjoyed it. And it's weird that I almost didn't back it, because I wouldn't have even known how much I would have loved it. But I guess that's how things are, right? But anyway, this is really cool to me, and it might not be everybody's style, and it's pretty limited color palette, but it's been really fun. There's 2 cards here. There we go. It's really different. It's Odilon Redon's art, but it's really well done, and it's really cool, and it really goes with a lot of what I had and what I was using this year. All right, so that is the Oracle Door, Odilon Redon, and done by Tora Matthews and Melissa Weatherspoon. All right, this is a deck that is in play every year that I use a ton. It's the Oracle Baleen. I've had this one for a really long time. 2 or 3 years ago, I used it in Drop It 78 as my calibrating deck because I wanted to use something that I knew really well. I was using the Terra Baleen, Grand Terra Baleen. So this deck is organized by planet, and so it's got 7 kind of different suits that are geared around the planets. It is a little bit like a Lenormand in that it gives you a nice clear reading. You could pull a couple cards and read with it, and the meaning is pretty clear on things. It's a little probably more flexible than a Lenormand deck is, but it has very specific meanings, and the astrological symbols might be loosely tied into different ways of looking at them, so I use them specifically in the context of this deck, with this deck. But it's a really fun deck to use. Oh, I know a lot of people think it's a little strange looking, but I like it. I think it's cool. It looks old to me, and well, it is from like middle of the 18th century. So, but it reads really well, and I really enjoy it, and it's been in my collection for a lot of years, and it's one I go back to every year. Anyway, might not be everybody's thing, but for me, it's a fun deck to use. All right, next deck is the Road to Nowhere Oracle. It's by Spirit Speak. I love this deck. I think it's surprisingly well done. I mean, I like all of their decks, but this one is probably my favorite. I just really love the keywords and the images in this deck. And it pairs with a ton of my stuff. And there's years I don't use it as much, but this year I went back to it over and over again, and I just used it a ton and loved it, and it was really fun. And it's pretty much a favorite one. It's in my top 10 favorite oracles of all time, but got a lot of play this year, and it just is very enjoyable for me. And I just love the collage in this deck, and I love the keywords too. It's a really good one. I do have a trimmed copy too. I kind of wish I hadn't done that, but you know, oh well. It's pretty too. It's just, it feels really different when it's trimmed. So this is the Road to Nowhere. All right, next one was one I did get this year. It's a Sirian Shadow deck. It's the Earth and Bone Tarot, and I really love this one. This is now out mass market. The mass market version looks really different because I think it's got blue and stuff on it. But this is a lovely deck and has been just a lot of fun this year, and really glad I have it. And it just tends to go with a lot of my dark decks. But it doesn't read overly dark. It's actually kind of a lighter read, interestingly. So it sometimes lightens up some of the things when you read with them. But I do think it's beautiful. I do prefer the indie version of the deck. I do have the mass market version just because I wanted to check it out. But for me, I like the all black of the indie version. I love the cardstock on this too. I think the cardstock just feels great. So this is a favorite. I'm sure it'll be in my top used next year too, because it's just a really good deck. But it's cool in the mass market too. I'm not saying it's not. It's great. It's a little bit lighter, lightened up a little bit. It's also, the darkness of this is cool too. So I think both of them are nice. And this was a Kickstarter I backed. All right, next I'm going to show you Terra Incognito. This has silver gilding and has a little booklet. I just love the art on this. It was another thing that just went really well with a lot of my decks, and sometimes I just pull a card or two on this one. But the art here is just amazing and beautiful. And this is just a really cool deck. It is still available. I'll link it below. I think the newer version has a green box. So looks just almost identical though, the cards do. And I can't remember if it had more cards or not. I don't think so. I think it's pretty much the same. So yeah, I think you would get the new version. It may or may not have more cards. I'm not sure. But anyway, I love this one. It's great. It's been a very fun deck to have, and it seems to go with everything I have. And I like it's adding a little bit to your message. It's really good at that. Okay, so that is Terra Incognita. And that is by, oh, I probably haven't been saying who things are by. Artemis and Alchemy Oracle by Jess Antonis and Natasha Rowland. Those are the backs. All right, next I'm going to show you the Amethyst Oracle. This is a Jessica Bott deck. This has been out of print for a while. I just realized a lot of my decks have gone out of print. A lot of my older decks. I love this deck. I love the art. I love the white borders. It pairs great with so many things. And I just love it. It's not for everyone, but it definitely is for me. And I just enjoy it so much. I think it's really cool. I'm pretty much like all of her decks. And have most of them, I think. But this is a really fun one. And I really use it a lot. I use it a lot every year. It's just one of my favorites. So I do really like it. I think it's really cool. And Jessica has a new tarot that is kind of a remake of the idiosyncratic tarot coming out soon, that is the Jessica tarot. So I'm excited for that to come out. These are the backs. All right, next I'll show you the Begin Oracle. This is a fun deck. I've had this for a few years. I really enjoy this one. It's got pretty big cards, but I love the collage. I love the keywords. It's really fun. It pairs with a ton. And I just end up loving it. I just think it's a great deck. And I used it a ton this year. I think maybe I didn't use it as much last year, and maybe had used it more before, or maybe I used it part of the year last year, but not the whole year. But I used it a ton this year, and just really love. I always love this deck. I just think it's cool. It's beautiful collage. And very versatile in my opinion. And so it's a favorite. And it was used a ton. Because I had some favorites that I didn't use as much this year, so you won't see those. Because I probably won't do a favorites video. Because I'm running out of time. Anyway, this is really a great deck. I think it's just still available. It's an indie deck. And I will link it. At least this one's not out of print. Isn't that beautiful, though? I just think it's a cool deck. Anyway, just super cool. Love that. All right, next I'm going to show you the Oracle Dessuart. This is a deck I've had for years. It's kind of a playing card Oracle mix. And it's a deck that I think maybe if I got it today, I wouldn't be so bonded to it because there's so many choices. But when I got this deck, there was hardly any other oracles. I think somebody's using their weed whacker. So it may get loud. If it gets too loud, I'll stop and refilm later. Anyway, yeah, it's going to get too loud. I want to take a break. All right, next I will show you the Mother Witch Oracle, which I have just fallen in love with. This is such a great deck, and on top of that, I think it's totally beautiful. It's really different than anything else I have, and I love the limited color, sorry about that, limited color palette, and I love the keywords, and the drawing's really cool. It's just very fun and very unique. And this tends to go with a lot of my Terra decks. So I've used it on its own and I've used it with a lot of things, but I just really love this deck. And I'm sure I'm going to keep using it all through 2025. Because I just have never seen anything like that. It's gone to Hawaii and back. It's been to the beach. It's definitely something I use quite often. But it is a lot of fun. So, and I've shown this quite a bit, so I won't go into more detail. This is still in print, so it's available if anybody wants it. All right, next deck is a deck I've had for a long time. This is connected and free. I do have a few versions of this, maybe two. I don't think I have the French one. There is a French one of these that's available right now. I think that the English one will probably come back into print, mass market, but it's not in print yet. So the French one's available right now. This was an indie deck that went out of print some time ago, but I do think it is in the works to be a mass market deck right now. And if not, you can always get the French one right now. And this is, because it's just one keyword, it would be fine to use the French one. It's not overly complex. So this one has the guidebook in it. I have one that has the guidebook separate. And they're all just, a little different, but not drastically different. But this seems to just go with so many things. It's such a good Oracle deck. I hope it comes out soon because it is really beautiful and really fun to use. And I go in and out of how much I use it. 2024, I used it a ton. And I really enjoy it. I think it's really beautiful. And it's just a fun one. And that is connected and free. And it has chakra cards, which I don't have in it. I don't have them in it when I use it. All right, next one's Color Vision. I love this deck. This is such a fun deck, and I love the guidebook on this one. The guidebook's really great. This is just an unusual deck. I have a lot of color decks, but this one stands out above them all, and it's my favorite. And I had so much fun with this one this year. I used it with everything. And I used it on its own. And it's just colors, and some of them are combined colors. But the guidebook is what makes this one special. And it isn't something you can read easily without the guide. I mean, there are keywords, but the guidebook gives you so much more information on this deck. And there's been some great walkthroughs of this deck. I think Sasha did a review or walkthrough or something of it that was really good. But it's a lovely deck. It's got a ton of information, a ton of cards, and a great guidebook. And in my opinion, it's the best color deck I've seen. So that is Color Vision. And that is the Moon Nectar Apothecary. And this one was great to play with this year. It just went with so much of what I had. All right, this is a deck that is now, it's called When Olga Speaks. This is one of my favorites of the year for sure. This deck just funded on Kickstarter not too long ago and will be out soon with a guidebook and a nice box. This is one of my favorite decks of the year. I love that. I love the art. I love the titles. I just think it's an amazing deck. And for me this year, it just worked. And I mean, I could imagine that it could work any year, but it was really meaningful. And I love the style of this deck, this collage deck. It's just so cool. But I will link the Kickstarter down below. It'll be a while before it's out, but it is. This is the Make Playing Cards version of it. So I'm actually, sorry about that, really excited to get the regular version of it. I'm kind of sick a little bit, so my voice is, I'm losing my voice. Anyway, this is a fantastic deck, When Olga Speaks. All right, next we'll look at Flowers of the Night. This is by Cheralyn Darcey. It is a rock pool deck. I've had this for, I don't know, a few years. Use it every year. It's really great. It's fun because it is just flowers during the nighttime, but it's got little animals and it's simple. It goes with a ton. It's got a great little message down below. Balance, chocolate flower. And then it's got the flower, night blooming, daylily, creation. Lady of the night, hope. And it's simple, but it's really great and fun to use. And I love pairing it with my dark decks. It just adds an extra something to them. And I enjoy it. I think I've showed this a lot in pairings, but I used it a ton this year and I really liked it. And I think it's a great deck, and it is mass market and available. Flowers of the Night. All right, another mass market deck that I use every year, Les Vampires. This is such a fun one. It's actually got kind of a dark side, so it's interesting in that the messages kind of show you maybe the darker side of things and not the light side. So it's great for using for that. You can totally use it on its own. It pairs great with so many of the dark decks. It's a great deck to use all year round, but also a great deck to use for spooky season. And I love Jasmine Beckett Griffith's art. always have. I have some of her paintings. I just think this one's especially cool. There's actually a few that I really enjoy, and this is one of them. This is a really good deck, though. I really enjoy it. And I know it's on a lot of people's favorites. It's definitely a favorite of mine. And it is mass market and easy to get. It is by Blue Angel. So that is Les Vampires. Lucy Cavendish. That's the box. All right, this isn't a traditional oracle, and I use it a little different. But this is the Rose Alchemy. Also have the dragons, which are square. But I love this deck. I use it a lot during different times of the year, and I'll use it a lot in February. Probably a lot this month. But I just love this. And I read it a little bit my own way. I look at the colors. I look at how much the roses open. But I love roses. I use a lot of decks with a lot of roses in them. And this one's really beautiful. And it's special. And it adds a super beautiful element to my readings. And so even if I was just using it as a decorative aspect, I would love it. But I use it also to look into things. But I don't use it the way the guidebook suggests. I just kind of go my own way with it. But anyway, it's beautiful, it's cool, it's all roses, and they are different colors, and they are different degrees of being open, but sometimes I almost feel like I can smell them. We have a lot of roses at our house. And we also go to the rose garden fairly often. But this deck just makes me happy. It is quite expensive, I think, but it is still around. And the dragons one, which is kind of an addition to this, is a square deck. All right, next I'll show you a craft Decadance. This is still available. It's a Game Crafter deck by La Green Witch. I love this deck. I love the keywords and the titles on it both. It's really great. And I enjoy the art on it. It goes so well with my Black Lily and some of my other decks. It's just fun. I use it all the time. I keep it out. It never gets put away. It's a favorite. And it's just a frequently used deck. It's unique. Its keywords are really different than anything else I've seen. They're really clever. And I have a lot of fun with this deck. And it's easy to get. Craft Decadance Oracle. And I keep it in a Johnny bag. All right, next deck is the Cottage Witch Oracle. This is such a fun deck, and I use it all the time. I love its color palette. It's really sweet, and it's really well done. It's by Christa from Christa Chronicles. It's just a great deck, and it's fun to use. And it's something that's easy to pull out, and it makes a lot of sense. And you can put in your own choices. I think I took some of them out, and I put some different ones in. And I do that depending on what season I'm working on. So it looks different times of the year. But it's really fun. So that is the Cottage Witch Oracle. And I have a cute little bag for it. All right, we'll look at Dirt Gems. This is the indie version. I love this deck. It's so fun, and I've been working with plants a lot in my practice. So this deck is a gift right now, or for the last year. It's just so fun. I'm growing a lot of these plants, so it's kind of fun to have this. It's so colorful, but I love the black background. And I love, honestly, that it just has the plant name on it, because I have so many associations with so many of these plants and have worked in my garden with so many of these plants that it's fun for me that it's just the plant name. So anyway, love this. I think it's great. I think it's also just beautiful. I love that there's some black and white along with some color. There's nothing like this. It's just a unique deck. And it's really, really fun. Ginger. We grow ginger in Hawaii. This is so cool. I just love it. Willow. I had a willow tree. Peppermint. Skullcap. Some of these are really common. Poison ivy. Avoid that one. Licorice. Hops. Seaweed. Black cohosh. Motherwort. Everybody grows that. Holy basil. Wild stream orchid. I don't have one of those. So I have 2 of these decks that I've had for a while. And I really love you. I love the art on them, and I love just the shape of these cards. This is art through the eyes of the soul. I think there might be another shape out there now. I think she has a bunch of decks. I have some of them. I don't think I have them all. Anyway, this is an old favorite, and I just think it's cool. And I really enjoy it. It's got great keywords. It goes with a ton of stuff. It's different. The art is very distinctive. And to me, very, very beautiful. So I really enjoy this one. And it's got some King Arthur vibes in it, along with other things, but it's just cool. And I think it's got kind of a balanced energy. Anyway, that is Art Through the Eyes of the Soul. Cheryl Yambreck Rose. Those are the backs. That came out a few years after the first one that I showed you is Art Through the Star Stream, and it's kind of the companion deck. I like the other one a little bit better than this one, but I love this one too. I think it's cool, and I tend to use them both at the same time. But you could use one or the other if you wanted. But it's also just a beautiful deck. This one has a little bit more of maybe a Christian spirituality feel to it, although I don't have background in that at all, so I can't really speak to that. But it also has other things going on in it. But it's a fun deck. And again, love this art. And I played with these more. I hadn't played with these in a while, but I did more this year. So that was fun. And again, this is not my favorite one. I like the other one more, but I enjoy this one too. Oh, I think I forgot to finish showing you the Oracle Dessuart. So I think the reason I like this is because I got bonded to this one at a time when there weren't a lot of other decks. And I always use this one kind of as a story. Like I'll ask a question and then I'll look at the story. I usually put it out in 1 or 2 rows. And it can give you a pretty good answer. And I have found this deck to be incredibly accurate. If I ask what's going on in this situation, it'll be like, oh, we're starting with a hindrance or obstacle. It involves a purchase. There's going to be a period of loneliness. There's going to be some perfidy. You're going to have a struggle. And then at the end, it's going to be love. So these cards, you can line them up and they all go together. And so it's a little bit just like a story. And I'm really attached to this deck. I use it a ton. It's one of my most used oracles. And I think partly just because I've read with it for so long, and it's the way I read with it. I don't use anything else like this. So it's really kind of a unique deck, and I have a long history with it. And when I read it in the story form, it kind of shows you just the progression. What, like, we're starting off with an obstacle here, right? Then we're getting to somehow acquiring something. Could be purchase, could be something else. We're spending time alone, and maybe we're even lonely. Then we're going to have an obstacle here that is maybe deceitful. Something's going on that isn't good. Continuing this struggle. But then at the end, there's love. So, sort of sounds like life, but it's surprising how accurate this deck has been for me in my life. That's the Oracle Dessuart. All right, I had a lot of fun with the Deadly Apothecary this year. I used it a ton. Those are the backs. I felt like it went with everything. I've shown it on my channel a lot, so if you've probably seen this, if you've watched this channel before, but this is a mass market deck, but I love it. I grow so many of these herbs and plants, and it's just kind of perfect. And I like the keywords on this, even though sometimes on my plant decks I prefer no keywords. I just think it's kind of fun on this deck. And this deck is kind of an uplifting deck. Like Thornapple, embrace your weirdness. Cherry Laurel, Peacekeeper, Mandrake, Obsession. Some of them make a lot of sense. And Poison Ivy, Psychic Vampire. Bogart, Posy, Gossip and Kindness. Nutmeg, Manifesting. Black Hellbore, Drop the Drama. Snowdrop, Go with the Flow. It's just fun. It's really cute. I used it a ton. I really had fun with this one. I'm going to keep using this one. It's staying in my collection. I love those backs. I just think they're gorgeous. The whole deck's fun. And then it's got kind of a fun guidebook where it tells the name of the actual plant, the energy, traditional and medical uses, magical uses, the poison, and the antidote. So kind of fun and cool. I like that one. All right, the other deck that's been really fun is Daniel Martin Diaz. I have a ton of his stuff over the years that I've bought. This one is a Loteria game. I just use it as an oracle, and I think it's great. I don't do a lot of like digging deep into it. I use just the keyword, and it's simple, and it works great, and it's fun to use with other things. And I just think it's fun and enjoy it. And I love the colors, and I love the art. I love his art. I just really enjoy it. Anyway, this is a really fun one. I've shown this before too, but I had a lot of fun with this year. That's the Enigma. And you can get this just like this, or you can get it as part of a game. That's it. Thanks for watching.